I returned home on a quiet Thursday afternoon, the kind of stillness that makes your footsteps sound louder, the kind that feels like it's been waiting for you. The door creaked open just as I remembered, letting in the scent of old memories, lavender soap, and wood polish. My suitcase bumped against the frame, and as I stepped in, the silence greeted me, not cold, but warm in an unfamiliar way. Ryan was there. He looked different, taller, broader. His face had sharpened, the boyishness edged out by time. A soccer ball danced between his hands like it belonged there, like it had always been there. "Hey," he said with an easy smile. "Hey," I replied, my voice catching a bit. He seemed older, more certain. It startled me. Our parents had left that morning for a weekend getaway, trusting us to hold down the fort like grown-ups. They hadn't said much, just a few instructions, a couple of emergency numbers, and a wave goodbye. The house was ours now, just me and Ryan, alone. He was 19, I was 22, and though we'd technically been step-siblings for over a year, we never really became close. We coexisted, me with my studies and deadlines, him with his soccer games and late-night snacks. Different rhythms, different worlds. But something shifted that day. While I unpacked, there was a knock at my door. "Want to order pizza later?" Ryan asked casually, his voice low and calm. I smiled. "Yeah, sure." Later, we sat cross-legged on the couch with paper plates in hand, flipping through channels. The TV played background noise while we filled the silence with laughter. Stories spilled out like they'd been waiting for a place to land. Family vacations gone wrong. The time we tried to build a fort and accidentally knocked over Dad's favorite lamp. "You were such a disaster," I teased. "And you were bossy." He shot back with a grin. The teasing was easy, familiar, natural. That evening, I wandered into the kitchen to find Ryan elbow-deep in soap suds. "I got it," I said, reaching for a towel. "Nah, you're the guest," he replied, but I joined him anyway. We scrubbed in rhythm, hands brushing occasionally. He told me about college, how he wanted to study engineering, build things that mattered. He spoke with passion and purpose, and I found myself surprised by how much he cared. "I never knew you had it in you," I said, half joking. "Guess you were always too busy to notice," he said quietly. It stung, but softly, like the truth sometimes does. The next morning I found him outside, sleeves rolled, grease smudged on his cheek, working on his car. He was focused, brow furrowed, hands sure. "You planning to stare all day?" he called without looking up. I laughed and joined him. He explained the engine, showing me each part like it was a piece of a puzzle he'd mastered. I didn't understand most of it, but I listened, admiring the way he moved, the way he cared. That night, a storm rolled in. The power blinked out just after sunset, plunging the house into candlelight. We gathered candles like kids on a treasure hunt and sat at the kitchen table playing cards. Rain drummed against the windows. The world outside faded. Inside, it was just us. "I'm glad you're here," Ryan said suddenly, his voice barely louder than the storm. "Me too," I whispered. Something in that moment felt permanent, like the silence between us had been filled with something unspoken, something tender. We cooked dinner together. Well, he did most of it. Apparently, Ryan had taught himself how to cook over the past year. "Since when?" I asked. "Since someone had to," he shrugged. Over steaming bowls of pasta, the conversation took a deeper turn. He asked me what I planned to do now that college was behind me. I confessed I didn't really know. "You'll figure it out," he said with quiet certainty. "You've always been stubborn enough to make things happen." It wasn't the words that got to me. It was the way he believed them. Later, we folded laundry and cleaned the patio. The mundane became comforting, filled with pauses that weren't awkward anymore. We talked about everything and nothing: exes, dreams, fears. You still with that guy? He asked gently. No, I said. It didn't work out. He didn't press, just nodded. His loss, he said, and for some reason, it meant more than any cliche comfort ever could. That evening, we watched one of Dad's favorite old action films. Ryan kept stealing glances at me, quick, uncertain, thoughtful. When the credits rolled, he finally spoke. When you left for college, he said softly, I thought you'd forget about me. I turned to him, shocked. Forget about you? You were always busy, he said. Friends, classes. I figured you'd move on. My heart sank. I didn't forget, I said. I just didn't know how to stay close. Well, you're here now, he said. And that was enough. Later, I found a note on my desk, written in his messy scrawl. Glad you're home, glad you're home. I folded it like it was something sacred. The next day started off normal, but Ryan was quieter, distracted. At breakfast, he barely touched his cereal, stirring it in slow circles. Everything okay? I asked. He brushed it off. Just school stuff. But it wasn't just school. Later, I found him on the porch, staring at his phone. He finally opened up. He'd missed a project deadline. His scholarship was on the line. The weight on his shoulders was crushing him. I already tried, he muttered. I can't fix it. Maybe not all at once, I said, but you can start somewhere. That evening, I opened my laptop. Come on, I said. Let's do this together. He resisted at first, but eventually he sat beside me. We combed through the project piece by piece, rewriting, editing, improving. His ideas were brilliant. He just needed help pulling them together. You didn't let me quit, he said when we finished. You were never going to, I replied. You just forgot. That night, I saw him clearly, not just as the boy who used to steal the TV remote, but as a man who carried quiet strength, a man who tried, even when he thought he'd already failed. The next morning, he paced the kitchen. Nervous? I asked. Yeah, he admitted, but I'll figure it out. I know you will, I said, and I meant it. A few days later, his project was accepted. I watched the pride light up his face. He tried to act like it was no big deal, but I knew better. I owe you, he said. You don't, I replied. You just needed a reminder of who you are. But things weren't quite the same after that. The morning after his success, Ryan was quiet again. Not nervous, just distant. At breakfast, he barely spoke. Later, I overheard him on the phone. I don't know, he said. It's complicated. I didn't ask, but I felt the shift. That evening, the tension sat between us like fog. Did I do something wrong? I asked finally. He looked stunned. What? You've been weird all day. You didn't, he said quickly, then paused. I just didn't expect this. Expect what? This, he said. Us, hanging out, talking, actually liking each other. I didn't laugh, because it was true. I didn't either, I said, but I'm glad it happened. We sat in that silence, not awkward anymore, just real. You're leaving soon, he said. In a few days, I nodded. I know we didn't always get along, I said, but I'm proud of you, Ryan. His eyes widened. Really? Yeah, you've changed, in all the right ways. He looked away, then back. I'm proud of you too. You act like you're lost, but you're not. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just smiled. The day I left, he walked me to my car. We stood there, awkward, the way people do when there's more to say than time allows. You're going to be okay, I said. So are you, he replied. Then he hugged me, quick, hesitant, but real. Don't wait so long to visit, he muttered. I won't, I promised. And as I drove away, the house growing smaller in the rearview mirror, I realized something. We hadn't just shared a weekend. We'd found something real, a bond that didn't need permission, a closeness that didn't need definition. Whatever we had between us, it would never be the same again, but it would always matter.